So today I just wanted to take a look at the 2014 film The Duke of Burgundy, which I think was actually I think it's a good story. You've got a decent story, and it's actually just very beautifully shot. You have a lot of landscape type scenes. It has some scenes that are just very artistic, very artsy-fartsy as well. So if you're into that sort of thing, you may actually find it a very lovely film to watch. But the movie itself obviously takes its title from the butterfly, which is I guess you could say, a small brown and orange creature. So the film basically centers on two women who pretty much study moths and butterflies. So these women actually engage in the, I guess you could say, sadomasochistic lifestyle, and it's actually very interesting the way that they are introduced. So of course you have Evelyn, who is the sub, and Cynthia, who plays the dom. But I really love the opening sequence of this film because we have Evelyn, who is out in nature. She's just kind of studying. She makes her bicycle ride back home, and she is greeted by her partner Cynthia, and we immediately fall into the role play. So if it's a first time watch, you very much believe what's going on, because she enters the home and it's basically a maid or housekeeper situation. She is not treated very well, and she is put to clean the house. So, upon first viewing, if you really don't understand their play here, you can think to yourself, oh, well, this Cynthia woman's a total jerk, which, that's the role in the relationship that she plays with her lover, which obviously they are okay with. But she spends the day cleaning the house, and as she is leaving for the day, Cynthia says to her, well, you still haven't washed my undergarments. So she has to wash Cynthia's panties, and apparently she does not do this correctly, so she must be punished. But once this play has ended, obviously they retire to their bedroom, and they just basically engage in just regular couple bedroom behavior, which is actually just very loving and very tender, because you see that these two women care for one another very deeply. It's not just this game that they play. But what I find tedious is because throughout the course of the film, you have these repeat scenarios on a daily basis, and I don't know, maybe it's just their thing, but I would assume that just repetition, the same thing every single day, becomes boring. There is an alternate in which Evelyn will polish Cynthia's boots. If she becomes idle, she is once again punished. In one scenario, which I thought was actually really cute, is Evelyn is polishing the boots. She puts the boot down, she kind of rests, she peeks through the window to see if Cynthia is watching her. Obviously she's busy working on something, so she goes and taps on the window, and she gets scolded and sent to polish the boot again. So she cleans up the boot for a little bit, becomes idle again, gets bored, taps on the window. All right, you're in for it now, missy. I just think it's just really cute, just the way that scene was handled. Obviously they have their routine, but throughout the course of the film, which I think is very interesting because it basically explores that age-old question of who really is in charge here, the dom or the sub. So we actually later realized that very much this is Evelyn's play. She is very comfortable in this. This is what interests her. And Cynthia just plays along because she wants to please her partner, but she's really not comfortable being the dom. And she just really does not want to do it. She doesn't want to wear the sexy little outfits that her partner gifts to her, which I think is actually rather unfortunate, because you see the strain that she's under, because she's not comfortable, but she obviously cares very much for her partner, that she is willing to do this. And we see where she falters here and there throughout the film, where she's maybe just not stern enough, and Evelyn will ask her to, say things like she means it. But there's also just one point of indiscretion in the film which really causes the trouble with the couple here. Apparently Evelyn polishes someone else's boots, and even though they did not have a sexual encounter, the other woman told her off as part of that play, and Evelyn just went home. Nothing happened, but Cynthia feels that she was betrayed, and she is not okay with that. She also does not like the fact that at one point in the film, when moving a hope chest, her back had actually been injured, and her partner did not seem to show too much concern, which also just irked her a bit. So it's actually on the occasion of Evelyn's birthday that Cynthia just really lets her have it, where she was to have a birthday surprise for her lover. Instead, what she winds up doing is she makes Evelyn bake her own birthday cake. And as Cynthia retires to the bedroom, she claims to want to change into something more comfortable, even though she was wearing a nice little number to begin with. But she walks out in just very baggy, comfortable pajamas, and she has Evelyn present her with the birthday cake, which was not really for her, but she begins to eat it. And she has Evelyn lie down on the floor. She obviously is not okay with this because, this was meant to be her birthday, an occasion which was supposed to be special, and she's basically just literally being walked on because she's laying down on the ground, or on the floor rather, and Cynthia has her foot on her chest holding her down. Obviously, Evelyn is not okay with the scenario. She uses their safe word, pinostre, but Cynthia ignores her and leaves her there, which I think was just incredibly cruel. And we do see that she remains silent, but she cries as she is there on the floor. And interestingly enough, their code word basically does follow with the whole butterfly theme throughout the entire movie. The pinostre is actually a species of moth, which is actually a very lovely looking creature, but there are numerous breaks and bits of symbolism throughout the entire film where we see butterflies and other just very artistic cuts. So I don't know if the whole butterfly moth is just meant to be some sort of a metaphor for transition, because obviously these creatures go through a metamorphosis. They start off as one thing and they end as something completely different when their life cycle has come full circle here. And we definitely do see how these women change and evolve throughout the course of the film as well. So they are moving forward and they are developing as individuals. And once, of course, Cynthia has voiced that she is not okay with this lifestyle, a few changes are made here and there. Obviously, the script that she is supposed to quote every single day during their play scenarios basically gets thrown out the window. They still engage in their play, but it's not as, I guess, strict, you could say. So they kind of, sort of, almost meet each other in the middle here, but we really don't end the film knowing if there is a full resolve here. But I love the relationship dynamic that's depicted in this film, because you do see that there is a great deal of love and trust, and they are willing to engage in these plays together to please one another. They obviously care for each other very deeply, which, even just against the artistic backdrops, it's very lovely. It's not really depicted as a smutty film, even though you do have, the whole elements of an alternative lifestyle here. But I think, in my opinion, it's probably one of the more realistic depictions of persons living the lifestyle of, the whole thing just comes down to trust. You have to trust the person that essentially you are engaging in these acts with, and you have to make known when you are and are not okay with something so that they can back off. Which, earlier in the film, yes, we do see this until obviously the whole angry punishment scene. But I think it's a strong story. It definitely focuses more on character development rather than action, which, once again, I think is great that the film was actually plot-based rather than action-based, because if you're trying to depict an actual relationship here, then it is correct, in my opinion, that you should focus on the aspects and the dynamic of that relationship, not, the acts that they engage in, because that's just part of their life. It doesn't define who they are as people. So definitely the movie moves at a steady pace, perhaps maybe a bit too slow if you are expecting a great deal of action. If it's not really a character developed, driven story that you're after, you actually may become bored with this. It may not actually be the film for you, but that's a common tie that I have found in all of these types of film, is the focus is the relationship, as it should be, because you have two people working together, because you have to make love work. It doesn't resolve itself, and we see that as they struggle, and they eventually do right things to a degree between them. They enter an agreement in which they are both, once again, comfortable with, and they resume with their lives, basically. So you definitely do get a lot of detail with this film. Quite a bit of budget for this film went into the costumes, which I think are absolutely beautiful. I love the retro feel of everything, and not just that, it's just the sleekness and the silhouettes of the dresses, which, the flow of the dress lines, I think, are just absolutely lovely. But they definitely did go for that authentic retro feel. But you also can get notes of where they just kind of cut back a little here and there to save their budget. There's one scene in which there is a lecture going on, and some of the persons actually sitting in that crowd, if you pay close enough attention, you can actually see that some of them are mannequins. The entire room is not filled with people, like living people. There's also the scene in the bathroom where Evelyn is washing Cynthia's undergarments, and you have this lovely detailed tile that we kind of get hints of. And rather than actually having the painting on the tile, they're actually just little stickers or little decals that give it that detail. But the camera's pulled far back enough to where it doesn't destroy that illusion. You still have this beautiful, elaborate home, which once again is very interesting to me, because that very beautiful wallpaper that we see throughout the entire film as well, those are actually basically just designs that were printed from, downloaded and printed from the internet. So, they definitely got creative with their budget, and the film did not suffer for it. The design actually stays very true to itself. You get the detail and the authenticity, but once again, the characters, the women themselves are the main focus. Also, another thing that I found interesting, which I really didn't notice the first two times I watched this, was the entire cast is female. We are literally immersed in a woman's world as we are watching this film, and we do get a lot of the softness and the feminine aspects, but you also get kind of like the roughness and the harshness. So you get that duality of the female nature in this film. There's definitely a lot that can be read in between the lines. Yes, you can say perhaps it is a feminist character study, but that's not really what interests me about this film. It's the whole relationship dynamic, and I think it is a true depiction of a relationship. It's obviously an alternative lifestyle, but nonetheless it is a relationship, and the subject matter, in my opinion, is treated very respectfully here, very tastefully. But yeah, I mean, definitely a beautiful film, definitely a film filled with attractive women. But you know, the whole focus here is not smut. You know, you don't get trashy shots of people's bodies. You know, you definitely see the actions and things that are done, but you know, you're not going to get any close-ups of particular body parts or anything like that. So, you know, definitely, in my opinion, just very tastefully done, and very much well worth a look, especially if you are just interested in these types of films. But that is pretty much all I have for you guys today, and I will talk to you later.